Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am working on week 3 of my 2022 Project Live, and today I am using another one of the little stash kits that I put together. This kit was kind of based on that 6x6 polka dot party paper up there, the paper pad, sorry. And so it's full of kind of those bright candy colors, which I love, and I thought worked sort of nicely with the photos that I've got this week. There's like pops of blue and teal and pink, and so this seemed like the perfect kind of kit for that. That being said, I did struggle a little bit with the colors because I was kind of so desperate to get a little bit of pink in there, so I had started off by sort of swapping out the 3x4 cards, and none of those had pink, and then I picked out some 4x6s and they didn't have pink either. Or the thing is when I tried to pull out the pink, it felt like a little bit too much. So eventually I'm going to settle on using kind of smaller pops of pink rather than starting off with so much pink in the base. So you can see I'm still trying, still playing around. It just takes me a little bit longer than usual to kind of get everything sorted out. And I guess that's because I was trying too hard to kind of force it rather than just going with what I have. So eventually I arrive at this, and so you can see zero pink in there at all. I'm still desperately trying to work out how I'm going to fit it in, but what I am going to do is end up just using a couple of those 4x6s with the more predominantly pink patterns, just to add a little bit of pink into there, but I'm going to do that in maybe sort of smaller doses. Now this week I added a little bit something extra to my kit. So this is a pack of die cut pieces from Citrus Twist, and I added that just because these little stash kits are exactly that. They're little, they don't have a whole lot of the way of embellishment in there, and I did that purposefully knowing that I could always add to them if I wanted to. So I definitely wasn't challenging myself to only use these stash kits. They were more of kind of a base to start off with, knowing that I can add whatever I need to them later on. And so that's what I did. I went through that little bag of die cuts, but I didn't end up really pulling out that many altogether at all. So it's just to add a little bit of extra. Another little bit of extra that I'm going to add, like I said, was a little pop of pink. So I used that 4x6 card, which is actually a printable that I had in my stash. I can't remember the kit. It was from Humble and Create, sort of a watercolor pink background, which I really liked. But again, a little bit too much in this context with that full pink. So I just trimmed off a strip, and then I punched along one edge, just kind of a notebook sort of paper punch, just to give a little bit of detail. But as you can see, it kind of gets covered up with the photos anyway, so you only see a tiny little bit of it. I then took that whole thing over to my sewing machine, which was just happened to be threaded in black, but there's a few black kind of pops in my photos as well this week, so I didn't change it. I left it at black and just stitched around the edge of the card. I did stick down those Polaroids with some tape adhesive, but I've added a couple of staples at the top of them as well, just because I know from experience that the tape on the back of those can deteriorate, so I want something a little bit more permanent. I added a couple of little tiny word stickers and called that one done. So I'm moving on to my first 4x6 full photo, and I'm keeping this one a little bit more simple. I stamped the word drive from a Citrus Twist stamp set. I can't remember the name. I will leave the link down in the description box for you. And I'm just going to add the word Sunday with some of these little puffy sticker letters. Now, they are very old from my stash, and as I was placing them on my little ruler guide, they didn't appear to have a whole lot of stick in them. So I was careful to add them onto the photo, and then I did check, but they seem to be stuck down like perfectly well onto the photo, so I think it was just the ruler that they were having trouble sticking to. Now I pulled out this little circle die cut with the full intention of just using the back of it, because it was the perfect size circle to stamp this little stamp on. It says, "This is my reason why." I'm sure it's not meant at all for this kind of purpose, but I'm going to add it to my photo of Lil. I decided it was a little bit kind of black and white, a little bit plain. So I just grabbed a really light pink ink and rubbed that around the edge of the die cut just to give it a little bit of color. It kind of helps it stand off the black and white photo a bit, just gives it a little bit more differentiation. And then on the inside, instead of stamping a little icon, I'm going to add a puffy sticker heart. I went with this pink one, again, for the pop of pink. It was a little bit bigger than I probably wanted it to be, but I really did want it to be pink, so I added that one in there. And then, for no other reason than just a bit of embellishment, I stitched through the center of the heart. I want to add that stitching in a couple of places just because I've added some stitching. I don't want that 4x6 card down the bottom to be the only one that's got stitching on it. So I added just that little bit onto the puffy sticker heart. Now I'm moving on to my second 4x6 photo. It was National Gin Day here in New Zealand this week. Well, for this week, week 3, and we'd gone to the store and bought a whole bunch of different mixes to go with my fairly extensive gin collection. And truth be told, we didn't end up drinking any gin on Gin Day, but we did buy the mixes to go with it. So I took a photo of all of the cans in the fridge. They were kind of cute colors, so all I've done is kept the embellishment really minimal. I added a tiny phrase sticker along the bottom as kind of a shelf, and then I used those, my favorite pink alphas, just to write Gin Day on there. So it's kind of a fun reminder of what exactly it was we did on Gin Day. Now, I wouldn't normally cut apart a really cute embellishment like this, but I wanted a little bit sticking out the top and the bottom, and the number 2 didn't really have a whole lot to do with this photo. It was the actual sentiment that was on the die cut that was kind of more important. So I sliced that in half and stuck one half at the top. It makes it look a little bit longer, one half at the bottom. It did look a little bit plain on here, and again, I wanted to add a little bit of pink. Just to add a little bit of that same color, but also to give that same pattern on there. So much in the same way that I've added the stitching to that bottom card, and so I want to add the stitching in a couple of places. I want to do the same thing here. So I've used that border punch once. I want to use it more than once just to make it a little bit more cohesive. So I've only added just the tiniest little snippet in there, but it does help kind of with the consistency. So my little grid of photos there was super simple. I took a bunch of selfies with me and Lil, and again, I've done nothing fancy there. They were all in my camera roll on my phone, so I took a screenshot of my camera roll and then printed that at 3x4. So that gives me a really, really simple way to do a grid photo like that. And all I've done is popped another one of those puffy sticker hearts into the middle of it. Now this card had a sentiment that I quite liked, but it didn't really work with my photo, so I'm just covering that up with the actual photo itself, and then creating my own sentiment down the bottom. The little die cut I pulled out just says number on it and then has a gap, so I'm stamping number 3, and I used those same alphas again to spell out coffee, so coffee number 3 for the day. Just a cute little coffee card, had to add one in there. And the last thing that I have to do is to create my title card. And to be honest, I didn't have like a whole lot of ideas here for what I was going to do. I decided to use the punch again, and that gives me 3 bits of punching. But I was a little bit silly with how I trimmed this pink paper for that little piece on my 3x4 card. It left me with a length that wasn't 6 inches. So I just kind of trimmed that the wrong way. So I'm going to work with it. I'm just going to use the little piece that I have, but I want to find another paper that I'm going to layer underneath it. And I just wasn't sure what I was going to do. In the end, I just wanted some white, but in the kind of interest of using up some stash, killing some of this kit, I picked out one of the papers from the paper pad that I most likely am not going to use. There's a duplicate in there as well, so if I decide I do want to use it, so it's not going to be a hassle, and just used the back of it. So I used the white paper from in there, so I'm just calling that, you know, thrifty rather than chopping into a brand new piece of white paper. I'm just going to use the back of one that I know that I'm not going to use again. So I've layered up those 2 punched pieces, added my little label. It's just another digital label that I print out and I keep a little jar of. I picked black just because it's a little bit simpler, and then I ran that all through my sewing machine, so that gives me my third little piece of stitching. I've got my third piece of paper punching, and all I have left to do is to add on my title, and I decided to do that with some stamps rather than the alphas that I've got in the kit. So I used this stamp set to stamp the number 3. So again, just for consistency, I'm going to use the same stamp set up here in my title card. I'm stamping in black, and then I'm going to kind of hide it behind that pink punched paper. I probably should have put a bit more thought into that and done that before I stitched everything down. But I didn't realize that that was what I wanted to do until afterwards, so here we are. Luckily, I can fold it back. There wasn't too much in the way of adhesive on there, so I'm just folding that punched piece over. It's kind of supposed to look messy anyway. I'm going to add a little bit more adhesive just to kind of tuck it all back into place. And that is this week all done. So I've got a whole another week's worth out of these little stash kits, and I am absolutely loving them. Hey, thanks for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you again really soon. Bye.